My friend's fiancé is obsessed with her maid of honor's feet. I, 27F, am in a friend group of 7 women, one of whom, named Summer, is getting married next spring. Summer doesn't have any sisters, so 5 of us women will be her bridesmaids, and 1 is her maid of honor. The maid of honor was a well-known, in specific circles, foot model for 10 years, by the name of Twix Raven. Although Twix is now in voiceover, her website, YouTube, and all her socials, still have pics, and videos, of her feet. Summer's fiancé, Patrick, is part of a male friend group, with 4 of the guys in that group dating 4 of the women in our friend circle. One day, after both friend groups, minus Twix who was not there, hung out all day together, and well into the night, getting wasted, Summer passed out, but Patrick was still hanging and drinking with me, 2 other girlfriends, and his soon-to-be best man. Since the 5 of us were acting foolish, me, and one of the women, decided in our drunken state, to start recording our antics, so we could have a laugh later. While we were filming, Patrick, who was totally smashed, randomly pulls out his phone, and starts showing us all the feet videos, and pictures, of Twix, the maid of honor, he downloaded, and saved to his phone. He starts telling us how he wished Summer had feet like Twix's, and how he would pleasure himself to Twix's content. Since that day, both Patrick and his best man seemed to forget what happened that night, but me and the 2 other women didn't. And those girls, and I, now notice how much Patrick practically gawks at Twix, especially at her feet, whenever she's around. It's really weirding us out, and we're struggling with whether, or not, we should tell even Twix, much less Summer. I feel like we'd be bad friends if we let Summer marry Patrick without telling her. Should we say anything to either of these women? Or, at the very least, should we say something to Summer? Update 1. I want to first say thank you to everyone who gave advice regarding whether, or not, to tell my friend Summer about the fact that her fiancé, Patrick, has pics, and videos, of her soon-to-be maid of honor's feet on his phone. The general consensus was, yes, I should tell her. Since I wanted to be careful handling this situation, I decided to first gather the girls, the 2 who were with me when this information came out, and the other 2 bridesmaids, for dinner at my place last night. Twix, the maid of honor, is traveling, and won't be back for another week, but we decided to video call her, to update her about the situation, and show her the video of Patrick's confession. Twix was livid and now wants Patrick's head on a spike, not the one on his shoulders. She said that of all the feet he could choose to obsess over, picking one of Summer's friends is incredibly disrespectful. One of the newly informed bridesmaids, who is dating one of Patrick's friends, Sean, decided to ask her BF if he knew about any of this. He told her that Patrick always had a thing for feet, and subscribes to multiple foot models on OnlyFans, and other fetish websites. Sean said it's not a big deal since Patrick isn't actually cheating, just fantasizing. She found Sean's attitude about hiding secret fetishes, and of subscriptions, suspicious, so now she, and Sean, might be breaking up. Sean also told Patrick about the video we have, and now Patrick is demanding we delete it, and stop trying to meddle in his, and Summer's, relationship. Twix responded by threatening to castrate Patrick if he doesn't confess his sins to Summer. She told him he has 24 hours to tell her, or the video of his confession will be posted to our friend group chat. Twix then posted in the group chat, Summer, your fiancé has something he needs to tell you, and it's best if it comes from him. So, I suppose now I don't have to worry about how, or even if, to tell Summer. Though my heart is still breaking for her. If the wedding does go forward as planned, I don't think Twix will be able to maintain her position as maid of honor, because at this point it's obvious that if she's near Patrick, she'll just wind up in a different kind of video, this time featuring police body cam footage. I'll update again after Patrick's 24-hour deadline has passed. Update 2, the wedding is off. I didn't expect events to unfold this quickly. Patrick confessed to Summer, though Twix didn't really give him a choice, about the fact that he downloaded videos and pics of Twix's feet. He claimed to Summer, who did not know about his fetish, that it was all innocent, since Twix's videos aren't sexual, and he just watched them for the foot care education. Though, I don't know any straight men who care to be educated about foot soaks and nail polish. He deleted Twix's content on his phone right in front of Summer, but by putting the screen in her face, that's how she noticed the other foot content he had. Apparently, after grabbing the phone from him, she found dozens, upon dozens, upon dozens, of other women's feet, plus a bunch of fetish apps with messages between him and other women. And that content, along with the messages, absolutely was sexual in nature. Summer said he went from trying to play innocent, to begging for forgiveness, to lastly, accusing her, and the rest of us, of kink-shaming him. Since I use Twix's real model/voiceover name in my posts, I have no doubt that after reading this, others who know all parties involved will easily realize who Patrick is. Editor's note: I changed Twix's name since this isn't Mad Men's sub, so if he thinks he's being shamed now, just wait until his hurricane of a mother, who by the way loves Summer, finds out. 2 other breakups, between 2 of Patrick's guy friends, and 2 of our girlfriends, happened in the fallout, due to suspicions that both of those men also have hidden kinks. Patrick, in the friend group chat, is threatening to sue Summer for the 50% deposit he put down on the wedding venue. But since only 10% of the deposit is non-refundable, Twix replied by advising Patrick to sell the engagement ring, which Summer gave back to him, threw at him, to recoup some of the funds, and told him to simply eat the rest of it. I paraphrased because Twix used harsher words, including telling him he was for the streets. Summer is heartbroken and embarrassed because she now has to tell family and friends that the wedding is off. But she says she's so grateful to have friends that forced Patrick to confess and saved her from marrying someone who was clearly hiding so much of himself. I'm going to start planning a girls' trip for the weekend the wedding was supposed to happen, to keep Summer in high spirits. Thank you all for encouraging me to speak up, which led me to host the dinner where all secrets came out. Update 3. I need the court of public opinion to tell me if I am indeed the a-hole for my actions. I, 27F, am in a friend group of 7 women, which includes my friend Summer, who is now no longer engaged to be married to Patrick, since his foot fetish, in particular his obsession with the feet of her would-be maid of honor, came to light. 4 of Patrick's friends were dating 4 of the women in our friend group, but 2 of those couples broke up around the same time that Patrick and Summer broke up, for the same reasons, since it came to light that those 2 men were also hiding their online activities and communications with other women. Although, one of those couples got back together, so really only one couple is still broken up. Since their breakup, Patrick's mother, who adores Summer, had a hard time letting go of the thought of Summer joining their family, and had started, not so subtly, trying to fix Summer up with Patrick's cousin, Blake. Summer and Blake weren't interested in anything besides friendship, but Blake and I hit it off right away, and now the 2 of us are dating. Of the 3 remaining couples in Patrick's friend group, who are still dating 3 of the women in my friend group, 1 couple, my friend D, and Patrick's friend Ken, just got engaged. Mine and Dee's friend, the former foot model whose professional name is Twix Raven, who was the hero of my original post, was chosen, once again, to be the maid of honor. Everyone in our friend group was invited to Dee and Ken's engagement party, to which Blake was my +1, and even Patrick's parents attended. When Patrick, who was obviously not invited, learned about the engagement, and saw pics online of everyone who attended, he was furious. Given that 4 of his friends had dated my friends, but only 1 couple broke up, he was mad that the other 3, his cousin Blake, and his parents, had betrayed him. He believes that his so-called friends should all have broken up with their girlfriends, and Blake should not be dating me, one of Summer's friends, in solidarity to him. He now says that Ken is dead to him for proposing, along with the other 2 friends who are still dating my friends, Blake, and his parents, are all backstabbing traitors. Our friend group is getting all of this information from Ken, BTW, who is still friends with Sean, the only one of the 4 couples who is still broken up, and the only male who is still friends with Patrick. Apparently Patrick went completely batshit crazy when he found out that Twix was going to be the maid of honor, since he blames Twix for destroying his relationship with Summer. And this is where Patrick's actions got really insane, and I got a little devious. Patrick stitched together a bunch of Twix's old content found on her website, where she promoted foot care routines and vegan nail polish, and posted it on X, formerly Twitter, in a very suggestive way. It's old content since Twix is now in voiceover, and no longer a foot model, but we know it was Patrick who posted it, not only because Sean told Ken all about it, but because Blake used a throwaway email to contact the poster and state that for a pretty penny, he would like more content to be emailed to him. The email address that the poster used to respond, in order to negotiate price, all of Patrick's ex-friends confirmed, is an old email address belonging to Patrick. Summer feels bad for what Patrick is doing to Twix, and bad about him ruining this special time for Dee and Ken, and Twix is furious that Patrick is still causing Summer unnecessary stress. Which is when I came up with the idea to tattle to Patrick's mother, and showed her video proof, the recorded video of Patrick confessing to pleasuring himself while watching Twix's feet, plus the revenge video he made of Twix's old foot content, so that she could see just what Patrick had been up to online, since she wasn't given the full story of why Summer ended things with her son. And that is when shit hit the fan. During the part of the service where attendees pray for members of the church who are going through rough times, Patrick's mother, a respected and prominent church member, made an announcement to her congregation that they should all pray for her son Patrick, who is currently battling a porn addiction, which caused him to lose the love of his life, and caused her to lose what was to be the daughter she never had. Patrick's boss, along with his wife, and his adult son who is a deacon in training, are also all members of the same church. Note, Patrick works for a gaming company, which also makes collectible toys that have codes to enter online in order to access the online avatar for each toy. Reps from the company go to various schools, youth groups, and camps, giving promotional demonstrations and presentations to kids. Patrick is a team lead, and one of the company's top promotional representatives. Well, he was a team lead, since upon hearing this, Patrick's boss explained to him that he would be removing Patrick from his front-facing position, and putting him in a more administrative role, since it's bad press for the company to have a rep with a porn addiction working with children. Patrick apparently blew up at his boss, and quit. So now, Patrick is unemployed, could no longer afford his condo, and has moved back home to live in his parents' guest house, though he is still not speaking to his mother. He denies, to his father, that he posted the revenge video of Twix, though I don't think even his parents believe him. The video is still up on X/Twitter BTW, but Blake believes it's because Patrick can't take the video down now, after being outed, or it will be obvious that he was the one who posted it. Twix's agent, the one who gets all Twix's correspondences, continues to receive unfriendly emails from the same email address the video's poster used to talk to Blake. Ken tells us that Sean tells him that Patrick says the lot of us will burn in hell, that Twix is the devil with a toe ring, and that Dee and Ken's marriage is doomed to fail. Patrick's mom is already saying that she worries how Patrick will react if Blake and I decide to get married, since as Blake's cousin, he will be invited to the wedding, and the entire friend group will be there, and Twix will definitely be in the wedding party. I refuse to think about that now, and will cross that bridge if, when I need to. But, am I the a-hole for tattling to Patrick's mother, and starting the chain of events that lead Patrick to losing his job, his residence, and possibly his sanity? Update 4. So, Patrick is on a downward spiral, but we can't figure out if it's due to an obsession with wanting to get back with Summer, or if he's obsessed with getting revenge on Twix. You see, since she started doing voiceover, Twix travels a lot for work, but we all video chat often, and whenever she's back in town, she assembles our girl group for brunches, lunches, dinners, and outings. And since Summer and Patrick's break up, when she's in town, Twix spends even more one-on-one time with Summer. Recently our girl group had plans to meet up with Summer and Twix for a late lunch at our group's longtime favorite casual dining restaurant, after the two of them had a spa day. They arrived at the restaurant first, and while they had just been seated, one of the ambassadors from Twix's company noticed her on his way out, after just finishing lunch with his wife. His wife slipped away to use the restroom before leaving, and he slid into the booth beside Twix while he waited. That's when me, and my friend Dee, the one who's newly engaged to Ken, from my previous post, walked in. And that's also when Patrick, and Sean, Patrick's sole remaining male friend from our friend group, and the ex-boyfriend of one of my friends, walked in right after us. It really sucks that we all still frequent the same places. Patrick took one look at me and Dee, scowled, and turned his head away. Dee and I greeted Sean, and just as we were finishing up our forced pleasantries, and turning to walk toward where Twix and Summer were sitting, we heard Patrick exclaim, "What the F***ck?" Dee and I quickly turned to look at him, and then we followed his gaze to see that the man sitting beside Twix was talking to Summer, who was across from him. They were both leaned forward, towards each other, and he had apparently said something that made Summer laugh. Now, Dee and I got the details later about the fact that he and Summer had just met, and that the man's wife was in the restroom. We even met his wife when she came out, but at that moment, from where we stood, even with Twix there, it was a cozy scene that could easily have been mistaken for a date. But, after Patrick's outburst, the three of them in the booth stopped talking, as did most everyone else in the restaurant, and turned to look in the direction of the noise. Patrick began to storm over to them yelling, "Seriously, you're on *King date." Sean caught up to him in a few strides, and stepped in front of him telling him to calm down, and blocking him from walking any further. But Patrick, who is shorter than Sean, was practically on his tiptoes to yell over Sean's shoulder in Summer's direction. "Is that what all your little girl day lunches have been? These hens setting you up on secret dates?" Sean was blocking him, but security still came over and told Sean that he would have to take his friend outside. Dee and I had rushed over to the booth by then, took our seats, and were sitting there in shock as we watched Patrick's behavior. As Sean and the two security guards were all physically pulling Patrick to the exit, he was resisting, and still yelling in our direction. "I'm not surprised Twix is the matchmaker, you meddling foot freak *tch. I'm paraphrasing." Just then our other three girl group friends arrived, one of whom is Sean's ex-girlfriend, their eyes popping open as they witnessed Patrick yelling obscenities, and getting tossed out of the restaurant by two security guards, and Sean walking out behind them. Fast forward to later that same night, I get a call around 11:15 p.m., and it's a group video call with all the girls already on the call. I had missed 3 previous calls from them because I was in the bubble bath. When I joined the call, Twix told us that her old neighbor, let's call her Jane, who still has Twix's number, called her to say that a man in a hoodie slipped a note under the door of her old apartment. He had kept his head down, and turned away, in attempt to avoid the camera in front of the apartment door. But he didn't realize that by looking the other way, he was looking straight into Jane's Ring camera on her apartment door, directly across the hallway. Since Twix had moved out of that building well over a year ago, shortly after returning home the new woman who now lives there knocked frantically on Jane's door, presented the note, and asked if Jane had seen who slipped it under her door. After reading the note, which was only one line, but referenced feet, Jane, remembering that Twix, the previous tenant, was a foot model, then checked her Ring camera footage. And after thinking she recognized the man as part of the friend group from the many dinner parties Twix hosted when she lived there, Jane told the woman that she believed the note was meant for the previous tenant. Neither of the women were sure how he had gotten past the locked door in the lobby, but they called the police to report him. He hadn't been to her place since she moved, but he'd never be able to sneak into Twix's current home, since her building has on-site security, and a doorman, and if you don't have a card, you need to buzz the intercom in order to access the private lift that opens right inside her penthouse. While the police were there, Jane called Twix to send her the video footage, and a picture of the typed note, and to ask if the man in the video was one of the people in her friend's circle. Twix told us that after she watched the video footage, she sang like a canary. She texted Jane a photo of Patrick, which confirmed that it was him in the video, and then Twix gave the police Patrick's full name, number, and address for his parents' home, where he currently resides in their guest house. Patrick didn't answer his phone when the police called, and the officers stated to the women that they would pay Patrick a visit, and issue a warning. The police advised the new tenant not to throw the note away, then told both of the women that if Patrick came back, to call them, and then left, as there was nothing further they could do. Twix forwarded the video footage, and the picture of the note, to our group chat. The next day, the police informed the new tenant, who told her neighbor Jane, who then told Twix, that after the officers left their building, they went to his place, but Patrick wasn't home, and didn't return home in the 90 minutes that the officers supposedly waited around. The police also questioned his neighbors, who had told the officers that the homeowners, Patrick's parents, wouldn't be back from a trip abroad for another week. 2 days later we all, me, my boyfriend Blake, the girls, Ken, and his 2 guy friends who are dating 2 of my girlfriends, had dinner at her penthouse, and got the update about the police visit to Patrick's home from Twix. She tried to lighten the mood by joking that Patrick should have saved both a tree and ink, and sent his note as an email attachment instead of printing it out, but the mood was still tense, and we all voiced concerns about how worried we were that Patrick was trying to scare her. Twix just laughed, and said that she'd spare us the details, but after her bodyguards had a chat with him, she was certain that Patrick was not going to pull a stunt like that again. Her agent had long since assigned a driver, and bodyguards to Twix to accompany her from her home, to jobs and certain events, and then back home again. Everyone in our group, including Patrick, knows this. Also, when we checked online later that night, the old foot content that was taken from the Twix Raven website, compiled into a twisted, smut-looking video, and posted to Twitter, was deleted, and the account had suddenly mysteriously disappeared from the platform. I mentioned this in my previous post. The video was confirmed by many to have been posted by an account that was created using one of Patrick's old email addresses, though he swore up and down that he didn't create and post the video, and just when I thought Patrick couldn't spiral any lower, about a week later, he proved that he could. Apparently, he'd been chatting up a woman he met on a foot fetish website, and arranged for her to meet up with him at his house. Yet, he had the nerve to be upset when he thought Summer was on a date. The woman had shown up with two men, who hid off to the side, and they jumped him when he opened the door. Patrick was beaten, knocked unconscious, and his home was robbed. He woke up face down on the floor, to the sounds of his mother screaming. And even though his father helped him sit up, he still hadn't fully regained consciousness before the police and paramedics were there questioning him. He reluctantly had to confess to his parents, and to the police, that he had invited a woman he met online over to his home, who showed up with two men. Patrick was taken to the hospital to be checked out, and had to answer even more questions from the police. He spent 2 days in the hospital for a concussion, and a cracked rib, and got stitches on his cheek and forehead. Sean got a call from Patrick, once he was stitched up, and settled into a bed, and he visited him in the hospital. At the hospital, while Patrick didn't give him full details initially, over the 2 days that he was there visiting, Sean learned the whole story with each police visit to Patrick's room, through the questions and answers between him and the officers. Sean was telling Ken each bit of the story as he learned it, and Ken then told us. The first day of Patrick's hospital stay, when we all heard the news, I asked my boyfriend Blake, who is also Patrick's cousin, if he wanted to go see Patrick in the hospital, and he said that he did not. But both he and Summer did call Patrick's mother, to see how she and Patrick were holding up. Blake's conversation with his aunt, Patrick's mother, was short, but she reassured him that Patrick would live, if she didn't kill him first, and about her plans to upgrade the security system around the perimeter of their estate, to eliminate camera blind spots. However, Patrick's mother's conversation with Summer lasted well over an hour. During their talk she told Summer that as soon as he's released from the hospital, she plans on informing Patrick that since his porn addiction was causing him to make reckless decisions, like inviting unsavory characters to her home, he will no longer be permitted to live there. Sean later told Ken, since he was the one that picked Patrick up from the hospital, and drove him to his place, where Patrick now lives, that Patrick's argument to try to get his mother to allow him to continue living in her guest house was that they only robbed the guest house where he lived, not the main house where she lives. Even Sean thought that Patrick's argument, and his lack of an apology, was pathetic. Sean also said he didn't know what Twix's bodyguards did or said to him, though Patrick never brought it up. Ken had told Sean about Patrick's chat with Twix's guards, but he stated that Patrick is proper scared to even mention Twix's name now. I personally think it's probably the trauma from the robbery that has him proper scared, since our entire group, including Patrick, has met Twix's bodyguards on many occasions, and though they're beefy, they're quite jovial. One of them even makes homemade jam. Blake, who has also met them, thinks the guards are only jovial until someone becomes a perceived threat, like Patrick did. As we go over the details, through the group grapevine, of all the events leading up to this point, me, Blake, Ken and the guys, Dee, and the other girls, minus Summer, since we don't want to cause her more stress, and even Sean, we all can't help but wonder, just which woman is Patrick fixated on, Summer, or Twix? He did fly into a rage when he thought Summer was on a date with another man, but it was Twix's house that his rage drove him to visit afterwards, or to where he thought was Twix's house. Regardless, everything having to do with Patrick, according to poor Summer, is the nightmare that just keeps giving. The company Twix works for hosts seasonal tours all over the world, so she'll soon be jetting off for their winter tour. And since Summer works remotely, Twix has invited her to go along, just so she can get away from all this Patrick nonsense for a while. We're all excited for Summer to go, and really think time away will do her good. Plus, not too long after they return from the winter tour in February, it will be time for our planned girls' trip in the spring. And after our trip, we all plan to dive into the distractions of wedding planning with Dee, for her upcoming wedding to Ken in May 2026, Twix as the maid of honor for that wedding too. I'll keep you all posted if any further drama develops, but I think this is going to be the final update, since I do believe we've seen the last of Patrick's antics. I mean, he's still dealing with injuries from the robbery, his parents aren't speaking to him unless it pertains to the ongoing robbery investigation, he's lost his fiancé, he's lost most of his friends, the video of Twix's content that he didn't post was deleted from the internet, her agent no longer receives anonymous, yet strangely personal emails threatening Twix multiple times each week. He's jobless. He's homeless. What else can Patrick possibly do at this point? So, thank you to everyone in this community for your kindness, your comments, your patience with this story, and your well wishes for Summer. I can't attach the video footage, but I tried to attach the picture of the note that Patrick slipped under Twix's old apartment door. It didn't work, but the note said this little piggy went to metal, which is a twist on words from the homepage of Twix's website. But, to end things off on a positive note, Blake and I moved in together. We also got a new golden brown French poodle puppy, and we named him Croissant.